Washington. I went to Arlington Elementary in the 4th grade, got kicked out, went back to Indiana for about a year. When I returned, my mom was then living in Inglewood. And I went through all Inglewood schools, elementary, graduated from Inglewood High School, went to UCLA. At UCLA, I thought it, I thought it was the thing to do. It looked like rah-rah. I would watch the football and basketball games. And, fortunately, my academics allowed me to get in there. But not long after I was there, I realized it was very racist. I could sense a lot of my instructors weren't too fond of Black folks. A lot of the white folks, would outwardly let you know they had issues, but Thursday through Sunday, when everybody would start drinking, that's when you would really get to experience how racist it was. And I decided it wasn't for me, so I dropped out. The following year, I ended up in a riot in Westwood. First time I went to jail, but it gave me a chance to really kind of think about what I was doing, what I wanted to do. And I decided at that point, I wanted to fight for my people. So, throughout the rest of the 90s, I kind of went on like a spiritual journey. I was heavily into hip hop, made it to most of the labels out here, but most of the labels either wanted me to be a studio gangster or, sound like whoever was hot at the time. And, between my pride and my ego, I wasn't having it. So I chose to remain an independent artist and really, through my art, analyze life and kind of like teach myself. So coming into the new millennium, I ended up getting into a race ride out at Venice Beach. And I had 3 of my relatives with me, but because they were all, dealing with the law in different ways at that time, we decided they would go ahead, break. I kind of waited for the police to show up, got their attention. They ended up pursuing me. Once they called me, they gave me a Rodney King type beating. And when they stood me on my feet, I just heard all the white folks standing around cheering. They didn't even know what happened. They just saw the police had beat a brother down and they was cheering. So that further kind of incited the ass whooping I just took. And at one point I ended up passing out when I was in jail. And when I woke up, I was in a puddle of my vomit and blood. And I'm like, you know what? That's never going to happen in my presence again. So I started, I guess you could say, pursuing the police, going through different areas where they were known to harass Black folks. Fortunately, different people in those communities started joining with me. We started forming different organizations, bring it all the way up to 2016. At that point, we were an organization known as Blacks in 365. Our brother Matt Capone introduced us to Kevin Wharton Price. He had Black Dot Empowerment Network, and that began the Africatown Coalition.
Okay, my brother, you've had an experience that is unique and all too common at the same time, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Tell us about the work of the Africa Town Coalition. Shout out Africa Town Coalition.
All right, yeah. So initially, when we came together, we were in the midst of both holding law enforcement accountable for the terrorism they were carrying out in our communities. But by that point, we had also identified that it was corporate America and other interests that were really driving us out of our communities. Sometimes out of state, sometimes into the prison, sometimes into the graveyard. So there was a young brother killed not too long after we formed. I believe his name is Carnell Snell. and another young brother getting shot down. So we decided, again, instead of waiting till after police kill us, we would get out and form response teams that whenever we saw law enforcement interacting with any of us, we would stop, monitor. Um, we usually suggest each person had 3 to 5 people. They would call or text first, have them in like a group text. Then, as necessary, go live. And lastly, if necessary, to train and prepare yourself to intervene. And again, fortunately, we were able to connect with different people from South Central, Inglewood, Long Beach, Compton, Watts, a lot of surrounding areas who helped us to, do these patrols. At the same time, we saw the homeless crisis was just getting worse. So we started a mutual aid program to directly address the needs of the brothers and sisters who were being left out there. But we also began to go into different meetings and really identify that it was both people in our community who were working with these gentrifiers to identify what some would say are the undesirable elements of our community. But what we try to encourage our people to understand is that even though they think they're in a position above other people, they themselves are undesirable to the folks who they're collaborating with. So that led us to a lot of direct battles against gentrification, different developers, the Metro Rail itself. And in between all of that, people started coming to us where Black women were being attacked in a number of Korean stores, discount stores, beauty shops, whatever they own. A flood of videos started coming out. People started contacting us where sisters were being, violated. So we started shutting down a lot of businesses in and around our communities. And that ultimately resulted in us sitting down with some of the heads of what's called the Korean American Federation, the Korean American Grocers Association. They basically are like the mob that distributes the goods to the different Korean merchants throughout the city and the county. But basically, we share with them. They either had to get out our community, or if they were going to be here, they had to employ us. They had to invest in our community. Certain products we didn't want in their stores. We got many of them to start providing fresh produce and different things. But a large number of them, made those concessions, met our demands, and it led us to working with then Mayor Garcetti, and we developed what came to be known as a roadmap. They said they were going to have whatever non-Black merchants came into our communities to adhere to what we had laid out in order to do business. And again, everything I was saying, invest in hiring, knowing the different community organizations, the needs of the schools. But instead of using it to enforce against non-Black merchants, they basically used it to lay out the legalization of the cannabis. So that was supposed to be how a number of non-Black merchants came into our communities to do cannabis. But we actually ended up having to fight with that because the trick bag was, even though they used the war on drugs in our communities to bring about this sort of, I guess you would say, repair, what they did was in the qualifications, they said people who live in our zip codes. But by that point, a number of Black folks had been pushed out. And then you had Koreans, Russians, Armenians, and others who own properties in our community. So they were able to qualify for what was called the social equity applicants. And out of the first 100 licenses that was rewarded, we found there were only 6 Black people. So that then led us to shutting down a number of cannabis shops. One in particular known as LA Cannabis Co. They had about 4 locations, and their fourth one they tried to open on Crenshaw. Just so happened right next to where our sister Kika was trying to open the shop. So it took us about 30 days of pressing all of his stores where he finally backed out, and we ended up getting the first Black woman owned cannabis shop, Gorilla RX on Crenshaw. But yeah, staying engaged in battles like that. We had a 4-year battle with Walmart, got Walmart off of Crenshaw. Um, and with all of this, also identifying the Black misleadership who was allowing all of this to happen. So, we battled everyone from Mayor Dorn in Inglewood to Mark Ridley Thomas, Herb Wesson, Jackie Lacey, and now of course the COBC. But yeah.
Okay, we're gonna come back to the CLBC. But what I want to really highlight is I really just, or really say that I just love the work of what you guys do in Africa Town. I feel like in my city here in Northern California, it kind of used to be people who did this work that y'all do. But as our Black population has shrunk, sorry guys, as our Black population has shrunken, it's really not people standing in the gap doing this work anymore out here. I do see maybe the is a group of brothers in Oakland that kind of do similar work to what you do. Um, and then I also would like to say that, and when I say work, like y'all really be doing work, like feeding the people, giving out the food boxes, making sure the people get those food boxes. Like that's to me, like that is just like really, golden in this time, where people kind of feel like our people don't need this support, but they really do. Um, can you tell me about how Africa Town got into doing lineage based or status based reparations? Because um, typically, us that come from this kind of lineage of legacy organizations, we're kind of spinoffs of Pan Africanist organizations, and they really have been very resistant to lineage based or status based reparations. But that's kind of why I love Africa Town, because you guys really have embraced and made space and room for lineage based reparations, even though or I don't know even though what, but I really enjoy that about y'all work. So can you talk a little bit more about that? Sorry y'all, it's bedtime, we melting down, honey.
Yes. So in 2019, I believe, a couple of our brothers started, telling us they were following a group called Edos, and eventually they were able to connect with Tiffany, I believe Lori, I believe Chad, and a few other people. And with their transition out of that group and moving forward, we always stay in communication, and they share with us, where things at. So, yeah, sooner than later, we were informed CJ was born. We followed the status, the introduction of the Reparations Task Force.
Brother Billion, are you still there?
Y'all,
Barely,
hello?
bro. Barely.
Okay, and my whole thing is dropped for
You
a minute.
good. You good. You good.
I don't even know where I was at, but yeah, it's basically been through Tiffany staying in touch with us, Lori, different folks in CJAC really educating us as to, what it is we needed to do. And, we've been grateful we've been able to be a part of this team that's really pushing this agenda forward. So, we've always been, our primary thing has always been the people are going to decide what happens. So, through all the different campaigns we've had, whether it's been, against the police, the banks, the Korean merchants, we've always seen, a lot of times folks will see big, huge rallies and protests with large numbers. And at the end of it, it's like, what happens? Quite often, nothing that they were out there talking about. But like when we went against the liquor stores, our thing was asking the community to not patronize them. So for a lot of our videos, it looked very boring because sometimes we was just out there by ourselves, but it was actually more powerful because we forced some of those businesses out of business by people not coming out. Saying that to say, we know pretty much what we saw yesterday at the Taste of Soul, where a lot more people were aware and even more upset, over the past several months, how they seen all this money go to immigrants and different people. Folks are now upset. So we know the more we can educate people, the more we can keep people involved, whether it's just paying attention or even a couple of videos Kevin and Steven made yesterday. I heard young people that are actually like thinking, beyond just what's being discussed. They were introducing some thoughts that you don't hear a lot of young people talk about, but that ultimately is what, I believe is going to get us to victory as more of our folks start demanding this and lose tolerance for folks like Isaac and the COBC and all the games they're playing.
Okay, and that is a perfect segue to go into the CLBC. I mean, we are all here pretty much aware of the betrayal that they put us through. Um, so just your thoughts on that and what you would like to sum up about that, and then we could talk about your run for assembly.
Okay.
Is assembly correct?
It's unfortunate that in 2025 we still got people who don't believe in the power we got as a people, and they prioritize the crumbs that these folks throw at them. We went to the Capitol last year. I believe there was some concern expressed, but we didn't really think these people was about to do what they did. And yeah, again, it was one of the moments I was saying earlier how like after the pigs had beat me down, I heard all these white folks cheering and whatnot. When we was at the Capitol, and you could clearly see all these other non-black folks, non-freemen were looking at us like, what's going on? But then at a certain point, you could kind of sense they knew we had been betrayed. And again, I read energy pretty good. And I could tell it was almost like a mocking that was going on. And I don't know if people who were there remember at one point, we circled folks a couple times. I wanted to get close and read their energy. But that has been the primary thing that has kept, white power over us, the black saboteurs. And it's them not psychologically, not spiritually comprehending how powerful we are. That if they were to just hold their position, you know, they could get way more than these crumbs they keep selling out for. You know, they don't get how powerful they could be were they to just stand on what they need to stand on right now. But since they not, you know, it's now our duty to remove them and to get those of us who are really going to represent us into position. You know, because when I look at the younger people and I see how, you know, some of them like AB7 for example, some of them were sold that this was really something for us or for them. And about a week ago, we had several days straight where a few of the UCLA students who went started responding to our posts and even messaging us upset, you know, because they understood they had been bamboozled. So, you know, it is real unfortunate that, um, you know, people in 2025 will still do what they're doing. But um, the beautiful thing about social media today is that we get to figure the game out in real time. You know, a lot of what happened in past times, you know, like with COINTELPRO, it was like 15, 20 years later before folks were able to actually understand what was happening. But today it's like, you know, we can find out within the next hour things that are going on and respond to it. So that's why, you know, I'm confident with those of us who are doing what we're doing. You know, this is just going to be another obstacle. We look back and say, hey, you know, we had to overcome it.
So is that why you're running for assembly? And you are running for assembly, correct, in District 55?
Yes. Yep. Yep.
Can you kind of tell us what made you come to that conclusion that you need to run for office?
Man, cause none of the rest of us would do it. I had a couple people amongst us who I felt would have you know, dusted Isaac off easily. And I don't know if they on here, but I'll just say both. I felt Camila and Friday, you know, could have dusted Isaac, but you know, for whatever reasons, they don't want to do it. So, you know, as the clock was ticking and nobody else stepped up, you know, I decided it got to be done. You know, I really think all of them should be challenged because this is the next level of politics. You know, us seizing control of the so-called representation for us. You know, we know for too long the game has been where they have consistently bought out people to basically dictate to us, those who don't favor us, agendas. So, yeah, you know, these people got to be removed. Running for a political office or being a political official is not something I want to do, especially not in this climate, but I will most definitely do whatever's necessary. So, yeah, you know, I've really been researching both the, you know, the regulations and qualifications of it. I've really been studying the overall dynamics of a battle like this, you know, straight sell out corporate cat and a cat that's coming from the streets, coming from the grassroots, coming from real movement on behalf of the people. And, you know, I think many of us are familiar with, you know, historical incidences where people who really stood up for the people, what they had to face. But if they come with any of that, I believe it would be great, because it's just going to take the issue of reparations even higher. Whether they come try to arrest me, whether they come try to take me out, whether they try to have folks carry out political violence. And me, African Town Coalition, we are prepared for that. We've dealt with much of that throughout what we do. But are they to be foolish enough to try any of that in this situation? Yes, it's going to further raise up our issue of reparation. So my primary thing has been looking at, probably a third of Isaac's district is Black. And it's pretty much where I've grown up, know many people. Now, west of here is Culver City, and then west of Culver City is other white, heavily Jewish, very few Black folks. So it's been formulating exactly how we want to get into them areas, looking at what issues other people have with Isaac. I know immigration is an issue for some people in those areas. I also know the housing issue. So it's get a better understanding of how to do that, but really trying to get more of our people who aren't into politics because of cats like Isaac, Karen Bass. They see not representing them, but getting more of them registered and involved in what we're doing.
Yes. You are entering the arena of politics, and it is not nice. You know, I think we've already kind of seen how, a friend can turn into a foe without actually calling names or rehashing that situation. We can see how a friend can turn into a foe real quick with this political thing. Hey, stop. And you know, and people fight very dirty in this political climate. So how are you going to deal with that and combat that over this time period of, and when is your election? Is not this November but next November, correct?
The primary will be next June, and then whoever comes out of that victorious goes on to the general next November. But yeah, like I was saying, much of the work we've dealt with, to different extents, we've had to deal with the ugly realities of politics. They say politics is war without bloodshed, and war is politics with bloodshed. From getting out here dealing with the police and the sheriffs, those are the ones who they license to practice violence and terrorism amongst us. So, we've dealt with that. Like I said, for me personally, going back to 1991, but fortunately with others who have built with us, throughout the beginning of this new millennium. So, in this political battle, you were raising up how, friends become foes, and that usually is one of the more, I think, damaging elements in the work we do, as you embrace and trust people and, give your all, committed to what you think, we're doing. And then come to find out that's not the case. But it's been able to identify and adjust as soon as necessary, not hoping folks to change and trying to figure out how we're going to work this out like a lot of folks are doing with Isaac. A lot of folks are on that, let's give him another chance. Or, we can't discount everything else he's doing. bullcrap. The bottom line is he showed he is a tool of white supremacy. He's a tool of Gavin Newsom and the Democratic Party. So regardless of whatever performance he attempts to put on this coming year, and one thing I'm hearing already from some of their podcasters and even some of what I heard at the so-called State of Black LA conference the other day, it looks like they're going to try to talk more like us coming into this new campaign season. More than likely will very likely cater promises more towards the reparations agenda or Black agenda, but is knowing he's already shown what side he's on, not ours. So anything that is being said, especially that he has me running against him and whoever else will have opposition running against them, they're going to try to sell us, Fantasy Island. But we got to stay grounded in knowing they're not fighting for us. So, fortunately, having folks like you, Queen Moonbeam, Queen Yasmin, and others who are here on this Zoom, CJAC, our coalition, Africa Town, the many other brothers and sisters throughout LA County who are supporting, and even across the country and around the world, folks are supporting us in what we're doing. Y'all folks are depending on us in what we're doing. That is, really what made me decide to do this, because we can't keep waiting. Can't hope and wait somebody else runs against Isaac, say they win, they get in there, and then they sell right out again. Let Isaac go uncontested. He won't feel the need to come with what we got to do. So, yeah, that's the determination. Of what else I know, win, lose, or draw, the campaign in and of itself can force what we need to happen. So depending on how hard we go, how many folks we can get registered, how many folks we could get to vote for our platform, for what we push, and that will send enough message to them, just like all these calls and letters, we've been sending over the past few years to get these different bills supported, in this election. It will be a continuation of what I believe they saw last year. When, everybody threw everything they had behind Kamala, and they saw that didn't even work. That didn't get Black folks to the polls. So this time, instead of not voting, there will be an option for people to vote for their own interests, because that's what I want people to get. I'm not looking to start no political career. So this isn't just about voting for Billion. It's about voting for someone that's going to get in there and fight for us.
Oh, thank you for that. I think that's really important. We have no representation as far as our people and getting something tangible for our people. We talked about that. Okay, I'm gonna open up the room to some questions or some statements about Brother Billion. Double R, please.
I'm always the first like to show up at the Reparations Task Force. Thank you for taking my hand up. But salute to you, Brother Billion. It's been an honor, bro, since August 31st when I met the brother, finding out that he's from my same neighborhood. And last night was a blast. I finally go by his house. I said, man, I done passed your house a million times in my neighborhood, man. And knowing that he went to Inglewood High, Inglewood, and went to Euclid, and he mentioned Westwood. He made it so vivid on like last night and yesterday. It was things I didn't even know about him, and he repeated it today, which is so it's so vivid to me because we grew up less than a mile away. He came there in 1980. I've been on in the same neighborhood on 59th and Crenshaw since 1974, 75, a little before him. But it's just, God is amazing. It's like if we would have met back then, this wouldn't have happened. But now we meet a year ago and look at the amazing things that God has done. Last night was a amazing turnout. He did an excellent job. I want to hit on. I wrote a couple notes on what you just talked about, and I think I did speak about it last night. We spoke a little bit about Africanism, Pan Africanism, on what folks is doing against the lineage base. And Friday, I don't know if she's on here, but she kind of interrupted me and basically gave them the finger. But we got to understand this, Black family. Let us get in there first, Pan-Africanism, immigrants. And then we're going to get you in there with us. So we need to stop all the feuding about lineage base and the way that, because it's a lot of turmoil and what they call it, the Jim Crow West effect. The red and the blue, the Crips and the Bloods, the young and the old, the light skin against the dark skin. We need to stop that. Let us get in there. And of course, because George Floyd was never asked for a lineage-based card when they put their knee on his neck. So we know that all Black folk is affected. Okay, I'm finished with that because that was something was a key on a division part in our circle, and I need to cease it. You know, I'm gonna let everybody know that we love all Black skin. We love Pan-Africanism. We love the Hispanics. We love everybody, even white folk, because we got that in our blood if you do a genealogy. And we just got to say this. We need to put the greatest people in position with the PCT, the political change team, that's going to make a change. We done gave Isaac his turn and all the other COBC members, excluding Senator Bradford, who did the best for us, and Black Power to my man. We have to do something that probably never been done before, that we're going to hit this political COBC platform, and we're going to shake them up and let them know that we coming for y'all. And this man right here, last night we slept go feed the homeless this morning. He is a man that I know that is good for this community. District 55, double nickel.
Come on back, Double R. Okay. Okay, you back.
I'm about to say, you want more? Okay, there you go.
I mean, no, you're good. I didn't hear you land your plane, but thank you. That was amazing. I did want to read some of the comments. Somebody from iPhone 53 said Black Peace, Black Power, and Reparations. Miss Carolyn shared a great picture of Brother Billion. Somebody said audio issues. Yes, I can see that. Danae said, I don't know why it's covering your comment. I think you said social equity programs. Then Miss Malika said, I remember the Korean guy that owned Loco. It sold soul food in Watts. Talking about have to follow that. And then she said, well, I have to put in research of a candidate to make sure. Oh, I'm sorry, girl. I can't read all that. I got like a little small window I'm reading from. I did also see that two people in the chat asked Brother Billion if you would be willing to have a debate, or do they think that Isaac Bryan will be willing to debate you? Would you like to answer that question?
I doubt Isaac would want to debate me. I can read through his what language his PG-17.
I'm sorry, brother. You're breaking up. Can you clear your audio a little bit?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
No, I was saying I doubt Isaac will want to debate. Debate me. I can read through his BS, and just like he chose to not come to the Taste of Soul yesterday. This is the largest event in his district. They said it was 300,000 people out there yesterday. And I believe he's scared to come to anything other than these little podcasts he's doing, where he could set up with people who don't really know, or those who are working with him, those who he has paid. But to actually sit down, I think, with any of us who really know what is happening, who can read through how they're playing these games with these bills, basically to steal the money. Nah, I don't think he really wants to sit down and try to debate me. I doubt he would be able to convince anybody other than whatever crowd he might bring to a debate. I doubt he would be able to convince anybody in my presence with whatever lies he will try to tell. So I'm willing, most definitely. But I don't think he would want to.
Yes, I see in the comments people are coming to that consensus. And shout out to Miss Nicety Girl for that question. Thank you for joining us tonight. Well, Brother Billion, I think we're coming to an end. I really want to thank you for joining me.
Hey, wait a minute, I have my hand up. Can I add to that debate?
Sure. Go ahead.
What we did yesterday was with the PCT team, and what we did was we had questions from the audience and as well questions for myself. We're trying to get them ready, our candidates ready for this debate. Now, he said he don't think so, but we're training our candidates to be ready because he might. Isaac might, because he's a threat. So we're going to have about maybe 6 more Q&A sessions with the community, a meet and greet type of atmosphere to get our candidates ready for when the debate will, it may be one. He's saying that he don't think so, but it might. He might say, I need to debate this cat because he's a threat, because this is CJ. You feel me? So I would just like to add to that. That's what we're doing with PCT. I know that Billion is like, he won't, but if he do, he gonna be ready. I yield. Black power every second of the hour.
I agree with that. I mean, you got to stay ready. You know, with politics and elections, you never know how things are gonna go. So you have to be ready. He might debate. It might be someone else that might be a formidable debating, person you might go against. So yeah, exactly, sis. If you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. So I think that that's honorable. Unfortunately, I don't think Isaac Bryan is very honorable. I did look at little snippets. I can't really bear to watch the whole thing of his interview with Van Lathan. But I've been looking at little snippets here and there. I'll try to stomach to watch it, the whole thing. But he definitely wants to place blame on other people. And so I do think that your advantage, Brother Billion, is that you're not a part of this machine. You're not a part of this alliance that these people have to not give us any repair. So in that effect, I think that people will enjoy trying to vote. Well, they'll want to vote for you because you're not a part of the machine. And I think that's what people are looking for nowadays in a candidate. Um, as I was saying, I think we're going to go ahead and close out unless someone else has something that they would like to say. You're more than welcome. But I would like to close out by asking Brother Billion one more question. Um, as I said before, in my city, oh, yes, Brother Billion. She says, a Dicey girl says, I were in your district. You'll definitely get my vote. I feel the same exact way. Um, we are trying to encourage more brothers to get into doing this work. Like, I really appreciate you for even stepping up and running for this position in the assembly. Like, that's really amazing because it's not a lot of people who want to put themselves out there like that. But even going back to doing this community work and organizing and mentoring the youth, giving back to the people, making sure the people are fed, it's like we don't have brothers to do this work. It's very far and few in between. I will say men, and I will also say people under 50, people under 50, like they are, just don't seem to be as interested in doing this work, and we need a lot more people to get on board. What would you say to encourage those people to get on board and really take up leadership in this reparations movement and everything that's going on around it?
Yes. I also want to answer somebody brought up about a person's past harming their campaign. So I want to make sure I touch on that too. But basically we've been keeping the language real simple, talking to folks, getting them to understand, this is the difference between some folks right now are concerned about food stamps being cut next month. Some folks are concerned about how they gonna pay their rent, some they mortgage. Some like me trying to get a new car. But reparations is to help alleviate much of that. And the thing I was saying earlier, because a lot of them see how immigrants are getting, the checks cut, they know the money's available. So really just letting them know, we're not just talking some hocus pocus, but letting them see there are actual bills that have been put up on the state level. There was actually a state authored, sponsored task force that said, we should be getting paid up to 1 point, I think it's 2, 3, so many millions. And then once they start seeing all of this, it becomes more real for them. And at that point, letting them know that we need help in doing what we're doing. Um, we've gotten folks to go to city hall, the county supervisor meetings, and sometimes it'll be a few of them that watch for a minute before they do anything. But our consistency um, makes it more normal for people. As opposed to just seeing and hear something, every once in a while, the news might talk about it twice a year, but them consistently seeing us do the work quite often talks more than anything we could say. But what we say, we try to make sure they connect to it as much as possible. Because, we talk just straight bills and this, that, and the other. You know, a lot of our folks are so far removed from that, but they know money. They know getting the bag. They know being old. So yeah, that. But I was also saying, I saw somebody brought up about people's past, and you know, the state knows better than most, you know, puts on record as far as most of my arrests, most of it was directly related to getting police off other people. There is one gun charge, and that was simply because a gun that I legally owned, you know, I had it loaded. You know, to me, it makes no sense to legally own a gun, especially after some folks shot at me and to have it in a case in my trunk. You know, what's that about to do for me? And, you know, all of this is stuff, you know, I would want to raise up in this campaign, and get into the office most definitely raise it up. You know, how foolish a lot of this stuff is. But yeah, and outside of that, my past is you know, they can pull stuff off of social media that I've said, and it might be a little bit more extreme than I talk now. Um, but I don't think for the move for reparations, anybody that's really, you know, about getting a reparations, I don't think there's really too much they could bring up from my past that will turn people away from wanting to get their reparations.
Thank you for that. I think that we are living in an interesting time, and I see you, Miss Carolyn. I'm about to get to you in one moment. I think we living in a time where, you know, everything is not just because you went to the right schools and did the right supposed quote unquote right thing. Um, you know, that's kind of like everybody doesn't look at that as the right qualifications to lead them. Some people actually might think these people are more indoctrinated. So I think that the way we live in this world, we all have a past. We all have things, you know, that we've done. But it does not disqualify you from representing the people. So I think that that's amazing. I think, like I said, these are the things that make you look more relatable as far as when it comes to voting. Go ahead, Miss Carolyn. Thank you.
Hi, greetings, everyone. This is Carolyn from the Political Change team. Just want to say good luck and much success to you, Billion, as you step up and run for office. I do want to share, if it's okay, Queen Acknowledgement, if I could share the dates for the main nomination period, because that's the period that we are in right now.
Yes,
The
please
ones
share.
that are
Please.
okay, great. So the ones that are running for office, like Billion and myself. So for the California statewide direct primary election is, of course, is on June 2nd. Next year. And the main nomination period for voter nominated offices, which state assembly is one, is February 9 to March 6 at 5 p.m. So this is a period when candidates file their declaration of candidacy and nomination papers with the appropriate election office. The signatures in lieu period is from December 19 to February 4. This period allows candidates to collect signatures to reduce or eliminate their filing fee. And our filing fee is $1,128. It's like 1% of the state assembly salary. So I just wanted to let everyone know that, because that's what we're going to be doing next as candidates. We are asking to be nominated to run for office and be placed on the ballot.
Okay, thank you. This
You're
is
welcome.
also really good learning about the stages, because I do think that it's a lot of potential candidates in this room. And even though we might not be running right at the moment, we are getting ready. We are watching you guys. We're watching the things that you do, and we're supporting you for from wherever we are. We're here in the Bay, but this is an inspiration for us to put up candidates who are, who want to push the message through. Not necessarily people that want to be career politicians, but that want to, be in those rooms when they're deciding the fate of freedmen, and being able to make a difference. So I really am inspired by you, Brother Billion, by you, Sister Carolyn, and we are trying to see what we could do in the Bay. And we say, even if you're going to run for something small, like Parks and Rec, that's good because you're getting your name out there. It might be levels to it for you. You might have to start with Parks and Rec and then work your way up to Assembly. But also, you might be like Brother Billion and Sister Carolyn. You're going to start at Assembly. So that is, we have a
You're
big,
so correct about that.
right.
Yes, I wish I had time to level up, but I really don't. This is my last political public fight. I will say that, and I will say that I basically, one of my main reasons for running is to inspire the next generation to run for office, and so I'm here for anyone who endeavors to do that. I would definitely help in that manner.
Yes, and we've just so I don't know, it's a lot of reparation that's in here, but just for other people that may not know, we've had so much political gridlock with these politicians. And it has unfortunately been mostly politicians who share melanin with us, who share lineage with us, who share status with us. Just kind of just being so reluctant, and everything must go through some kind of weird exploitation of the Democratic Party. So that's kind of what is leading us to want to just put up our own candidates who can get something done, who can stop this gridlock that we're experiencing. And I'll also, shameless plug, I'll also say our other strategy is growing the youth, growing the population of youth people who are understand lineage and status based reparations and want to, dedicate their lives and their careers to getting us to complete this goal and just becoming advocates so that we can finally get our reparations. We don't have to talk about getting reparations. We got to really get reparations. So, Brother Billion, could you just grace us with any last words, anything that you would like to end with?
Yeah, I just peeked through the incredible folks who are on this Zoom, and most definitely, I think any of us could be running for this seat successfully. Some folks I've met over the past year or two, some I've known a little longer, but I felt family, from most of the people who I see who are on here. And I'm always grateful, to do this work with people who, 20 years from now, I would be looking back interested in knowing your story. Just like today when I look back and see, excuse me, see folks who were part of the abolitionist movement, folks who were part of the 60s civil rights and Black power struggles that, today I can actually work with all of y'all. I am grateful. And between now and the time that, we need to start collecting signatures or do whatever other campaigning that needs to get done. I think we got a great opportunity with Prop 50 coming up in a week or two. really talking to people in our community. That's something else that we heard yesterday. We heard a whole lot of no on Prop 50. And again, it was because of Gavin, it's because of the Democrats, it's because of the Black Democrats, it's because of the immigration issue. But saying all this to say, I think a lot of things are being aligned and set up to be in our favor. And all of it is an opportunity to reach more of our people, to keep our people involved. And I believe that is what's going to, help us get the goal of reparations. Again, win, lose, or draw, these seats, the ultimate goal is reparations. And I believe the run for these seats will help get us closer to reparations, regardless of the outcome of these seats. But I thank y'all for taking time to hear what I got to say. I look forward to working with y'all, whether it's with our campaign or just with reparations in general. And I salute y'all. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. Best of luck to you.
I have my hand up. I have my hand
Oh,
up.
I'm sorry. I thought I lowered your hand. I thought that you had already asked your question.
But I lowered it and put it back up.
Okay,
Hey,
go ahead.
no, just to I didn't want to interrupt my brother Good, but a shout out to Sister Carolyn, Queen Carolyn. Yesterday was amazing. Who wasn't there? I think we have some video from it. You guys can watch it. The first time that they were really approached by the community was amazing. I think they did an excellent job. Um, we got things to work on as far as other questions. The time frame we had was limited, but I think that our team, our PCT political change team, did an excellent job yesterday as far as making this movement for the key foundation with CJEC. You got to understand these two candidates right here that's on here, just on here, was with CJEC probably a year, yet less than a year. And the information from CJEC has groomed them to combine where they were before and where they are now to push reparations. And reparations is the bottom line that we all have to focus on. And we understand that we are not bowing down to Governor Newsom, to President Trump, to nobody. We are going to stand for what our ancestors has taught us to do, is to stand for reparations. So therefore, I come and I can say this: y'all look forward to more on.
I think
the
we
Taste of
lost them a
Soul.
lot.
Yeah, it's kind of breaking up though. Yeah, it's kind of froze a little bit for a second. Can I say something real quick? Can y'all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, brother. Go ahead.
Yeah, but that was a good Taste of Soul event we did. I talked
What we
up quite
said
a
is
bit
that
myself.
yesterday. Hello.
Yeah, you kind of went out for a second though.
All right, thank you, Ray. All right, yesterday was a prime example how I sound. Am I better?
It's
Yeah.
better.
Yeah,
Maybe you
yeah, we
need to go
hear you.
off camera
Yeah, we
and
hear you.
then talk.
When you get excited and start hollering,
Yeah,
it
you
kind of
know
Yeah,
I'm
goes out.
excited. You know, double super turned up. I'm Stu with it. Hey, because yesterday was
Yes,
amazing.
we
But
love it.
okay, but what I was saying is that as we get to more of these town hall settings, y'all gonna see that the delight coming from them from CJ. They have came from a different hat. Now they got the CJ hat on, and now they are more grounded on reparations, and it's strong. I mean, like I said, y'all don't know the story of Billion. Billion been approached. Like I said, we dropped him off to feed the homeless this morning. This morning. And he told me a story that the 40s He probably don't want to say it, but I'm gonna say it because we're gonna make a movie about this, but in a documentary. And we did documentary settings yesterday that people was interviewing us about Billion and Carolyn, but people want to take my man out. You feel me? I'm standing, but my man ain't backing down. You know, so I think that is strong that we need to understand that we ain't in here for us. You understand that my man car got taken out not too long ago, and the man ain't even got a car. But however he gonna get there, he gonna get there. And he making everything happen. So understand this, CJ got his back. We trying to do everything we can do for him to get him on top, to get in the seat, to make sure that when he's sitting there and supplement, be a supplement to Isaac Bryant, he gonna make things happen. Same thing with Sister Carolyn. Same thing with the other two candidates that was there yesterday. Y'all gotta understand that the PCT team right here, the political change team, we not playing. We want reparations and reparations only. And I yield. Black power.
Yeah, can I say something real quick?
Yes, ma'am.
For a
I'd
second?
like to say something.
Okay, yes. Brother Raymond, and then LaShawn, and then Miss Tiambe. Thank you.
Yeah, so that was a good event. The Texo was actually a successful event. I talked to of close to like 400, 500 black folks myself. They all agree when we say, yeah, we deserve lineage-based reparations. Also, they weren't happy about what happened with the LA County Board of Supervisors did pass the state of emergency about to give these illegals $5,000 debit cards, but they leaving our people actually to die on the street. A lot of our people weren't happy with that. I had a conversation with at least about 15, 20 different families for about 5 to 10 minute long conversations with them, asking questions. And also, a lot of people ain't happy about the Prop 50 situation. Now, a lot of people say they're gonna vote no on that because they saying that they giving these immigrants protections though, but they're not giving our people nothing though. So a lot of people, so we got a lot of people. And also, when I went all throughout the whole Taste of Soul, I didn't see none of our flyers on the ground in the trash can. People actually accepted our flyers. We passed over 1,000 flyers. I didn't see not one flyer in the trash can or on the ground. That means people received the message very well. So it was actually a successful event. And also, I'm gonna bring this situation up is that Isaac Brown actually lied and said he was at the Texas Soul, but that was actually a lie. That was a video footage from 2016. But he's basically a liar though. But Brother Billion's definitely gonna win this election though. We already speaking to existence now.
Thank you, brother. Shout out to your work too. You do excellent work as well. Go ahead, Miss LaShawn.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. I didn't I wasn't able to stay to the end, but it was beautiful. And just doubling down on what Brother Raymond had said for yesterday at the Taste of Soul. I was hearing things where people, they were a little upset because they were looking for us to be at the No Kings like I guess event, but we were all at the Taste of Soul having a good time and and just providing education and information to everyone. One thing I do want to want uh to suggest is like when I was giving the for the town hall for Brother Billion and Sister Carolyn is I like people were also looking for a page like maybe like a political like a candidate page where so you guys can show what y'all stand for, what y'all there for, so they can because some of them they were a little older and they wasn't going to be able to come to to the event later on that night, but they would have. But I told them to keep an eye out for you too, because you guys are for the people and for change and the betterment of us. And so but just like if y'all have something where you have a candidate page and so I can direct people too so they can know all about y'all. Or would you guys want me to share your page as is, or I don't know. What do you think? Not
I do have a website. Thank you, Sister LaShawn. I do have a website at carolynjsx.com. So you can share that out.
Okay.
Cool. Put it in the and also that like I don't have my pen, but yeah, there you go. And also in the signal chat. That'd be cool. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, go ahead, Miss Tiambe. You have the floor.
Okay. Thank you for the information. And I'm sorry I wasn't on earlier. But I want to share a good day I had. I went up to Oakland and I'm so upset I left all my notes. I wrote furiously notes. But it was the 40 by 40 committee, the empowerment zone, and a couple other groups that have been working hard in Oakland, and they're working for land. They're talking about land. They're talking about permanence. But one of the most important quotes was they had children, young people. And so they were talking about the divide, et cetera, that was going on between elders and young people. And so their solution was sit down and talk with each other and come to an understanding of each other. And because, as you know, we have turned over our children's education, et cetera, so from babyhood to AI, the computer, et cetera, blah, 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 social media. And we act like there's no consequence. So anyway, having them, number one, they're committed to having young people. They're committed to not doing the same things that we did earlier, but learning from the good things and learning from the bad things. I got that from them. They were talking about permanence of things. And that's what reparations is talking about too, not a little program that ends in 2 years and then you broke again. Um, I had a wonderful time, absolutely wonderful time. And they did talk. Greg Hodge was one of the speakers, and he talked about us first, and understood handling our business first. Doesn't mean that we don't I care about other people. And I did go to No Kings. I also went to the Palestinian thing because I need to see what they say. When we had a little senior prom, Mexican woman said, "Yeah, I got my people here." So we need to remember our people. And so the whole descendants, first, we need to be able to articulate that. We need to be able to promote that. And same thing with the politicians on board here. Promotion, we really need to look at how they promote things. How everybody has to have sneakers with somebody's name on it and pay 2 weeks worth of pay. So what is the promotion? Anyway, thank you everybody for listening. And we have our issues here with Sister Bernice. Look at her GoFundMe page, Bernice Turner. It's I can't even use the word to describe the judge in this. Oh my God, it's a mess. But anyway, if you can support her, go to her page and, just leave a message. We might need you to make phone calls. Thank you, everybody. God bless. Thank you, Yasmin. Yamin, thank you, Yamin.
You're welcome, honey. Thank you. Thank you for coming tonight. As I was saying to close out, I don't see any more hands. But if you have something to say, please interrupt. Thank you all for coming tonight. We are still we are fighting for what we believe in. We are not trying to give up. We're not trying to start over. Even though we do have to be flexible and pliable. Thank you, CJEC, Coalition for a Just and Equitable California, for your leadership, for your consistency. Thank you all thank you, Brother Billion, for putting yourself out there and running this race, as well as you too, Sister Carolyn. We would like to just get involved. No matter what level you can get involved in this movement. Get involved of lifting up the voice of freedmen. We're trying to lift up the voice of freedmen. Lord knows the Bay Area needs some freedmen consciousness here. And I just really admire the work of Africatown, because Africatown is not trying to trade one ideology for the other. They're making room for the freedmen consciousness inside of their work, and that is amazing. So we have a lot of work to do. We have a lot of people passing away. So please say a prayer. I want to give a shout out to or not even a shout out, because I want to just lift his name up, Mr. Thurman Smith, a elder in our community that just passed away. I believe he was 95 years old, and I just thank him for supporting EPA for reparations. But at his funeral service, I learned that that's what he do. He supports our community, helping people eat, helping young mothers that needed help, just things that he did throughout his life, starting a garden at the Community Development Institute in East Palo Alto, just so many wonderful things. So our community, we got so much to give at every level. So I'm just inspired by the work of Africa Town. I would encourage people from East Palo Alto. We still have work to do in East Palo Alto, even though our population is small. In LA, the population is small too, as far as our freedmen population, and they're still doing excellent work. Thank you for your inspiration, LA. The LA team, we like to call y'all. Y'all very hyped. Y'all ready to work at all times. And we love y'all. We love you for it. So I just want to say thank you to all the reparationists that are on the call tonight. Thank you for joining us. We went to LA with Brother Billion. I think we're going to go more to the East Coast for our next guest and see what they are doing on the East Coast as far as reparations. And then we're going to bring it back to the West Coast, because that's what we do. And still see see if I can get Big Chris on here, see what he's doing. So I just want to thank y'all all so much. I have so much love for you and so much love for our freedmen group. So I just want to say thank you, and thank you for supporting Brother Billion, because he needs it. Brother Billion, you are not alone. I say one of your posts, it was like, when you are in the shit, you are alone, but you are not alone, Brother Billion. We love you. We love your work, and keep going, brother. It's not going to be easy, but keep going.
Man, I love y'all. Can't stop, won't stop, and y'all are a major part of what drives us. Thank you. Love y'all.
Thank you. And everybody have a wonderful night and have a great week too. Love you.
Hey, love you guys back. Have a great one. Thank you, Yasmin, Billion,
Love you
Carolyn,
back, Yasmin.
everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Hope to see you soon.
Black Power.
Every second of the hour.
You know the rest.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Vanessa. Appreciate you.